What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream, and we are finally here. My favorite episodes to do during these first couple seasons of Rebuild, the trade deadline. We've got a pretty good one on tap for you here today, but before we hop in, let's go and take a look at who represented us in the All-Star game in Atlanta, Georgia. Starting us off is a very interesting one, and that's going to be our catcher, Nick Fortes. Now, not the best season at the dish for Fortes with an OPS of only 659. His 1.1 WAR is decent, but doesn't really feel all-star worthy. Bit of a head-scratcher here, I'll admit, but I'll take it. Next up is our closer, Calvin Fauché. He's been fantastic this year, converting 29 out of 33 save chances. Got a pretty strong ERA as well of 3.40, backed up by a strong FIP and component ERA. Well-deserved nod for the 29-year-old. And finally, there was no doubt Xavier Edwards would be in Atlanta. He continues to lead the MLB in batting, hitting a ridiculous 340. But what's really impressive so far is his power surge that he's found, raising his ISO to about 170. He's also swiped 29 bags already and racked up 3.3 WAR. He has been without a doubt our best player this year, and I'm really proud of him. Well, let's take a peek at some of the guys where we were floating in some deals. Obviously, Alcantara tops our list. He bounced back nicely from a slow start this year, coupled with a short-term injury. See what he's done over his last 10 starts with the 2.85 ERA. Strikeout numbers haven't quite been there this year, but he's really been finding some good success nonetheless. And with that team-friendly contract he has, we've had a lot of suitors, and we're going to pull the trigger at this deadline. Calvin Fauché has been a hot name on the block as well, especially after his all-star nod. Jesus Sanchez is also an interesting one. His season numbers leave some to be desired, but he's been hot of late, so that's good. There's a few teams out there desperate for a strong left-handed bat, so he's actually garnered some interest as well here in recent weeks. Another guy creating some buzz with an all-star selection has been Nick Fortes, so that's a positive for us. Cal Quantrill has continued his resurgence season and a hot stretch of late as well. His ERA is right around 4 on the season, and he's been incredible over his last 10 starts with a 2.72 ERA and a whip barely above 1. There's some certainly hungry teams on the market looking for cheaper starting pitching, so we can deliver that with Quantrill. Now we get to the deals. We'll be kicking off this trade season with one of our top assets on the market, Sandy Alcantara. And we'll be sending him to just a little north and west of us to Tampa Bay and the Rays, who are once again in the thick of things in the AL East. Now, when you take a look at their rotation, they're not in too bad of a spot, but they can certainly use another high-end starter, especially one who has such a team-friendly deal like Alcantara. This is just a guy who screams Tampa Bay Ray. We'll also be sending away Nick Fortes in this deal. The Rays' catching situation is a little rough at the moment, with Danny Jansen on the shelf for another 1 to 2 months with a broken arm. He's been playing pretty well for them, but their backup Ben Rodovet has been pretty abysmal at the plate. So at the very least, Fortes gives them a platoon option to help maximize each guy's offensive production, while also maintaining some solid defense behind the dish. In return, we'll be attacking the weakest position in our organization, outfield. We're going to try to fix that fast as we're bringing in the 2024 first-rounder Theo Gillen. The 19-year-old out of Texas has 86 potential and an incredibly well-balanced profile. Great positional versatility is a major added benefit as well, so this is a kid I'm really excited to add to our organization. Now you see, we've still got a little bit of trade bar left to play with here, and to finalize this bad boy, we're also going to be bringing in Ryan Pepiot. Alcantara coming over is going to force someone out of that Tampa Bay rotation, and it looks like Pepiot may be the odd man out right now. The former Dodgers prospect came over in the Tyler Glasnow trade, and he's going to be on the move again, this time to Miami. He's had a rock-solid 2024, but 2025, he's kind of seen his numbers slip a bit. Taking a look at his advanced numbers, though, he seems due for some positive regression, and hopefully that hits for us. He's got solid low B potential with a good amount of team control left. Also got a pretty fun repertoire to work with as well, so not a bad deal for trade number 1 of this franchise as we smash this baby through. After that deal, things are going to die down quite a bit by comparison. The next guy on the move will be Cal Quantrill. Like I said earlier, he's been very solid these last 2+ months, and there's quite a few teams that could use some cheaper starting pitching options or somebody who could fill a hybrid role. One team I honed in on for a deal like this was the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, it's uncertain if Quantrill will get a rotation role for them, but he's flourished in hybrid roles before, and it's one that I think suits him very well. In return, we won't get anything too crazy, but we'll snag another teenage outfielder in Braylon Payne. The 18-year-old is another 2024 first-rounder who touts some pretty strong speed and defense. Now, he's going to need to work on his bat quite a bit, so that'll be our big job in the coming years, but there's definite upside here. Feels like a pretty even trade, and the game seems to agree as well. We'll also be moving on from our closer and all-star Calvin Fauché at this deadline. As I've mentioned before in videos, I don't really love keeping 30-ish-year-old relievers around early in these rebuilds. I like to try and extract as much value from them when I can, and why not now for a guy fresh off an all-star appearance, right? We'll also toss in another 29-year-old reliever, Lake Bacher, to get this one to go through. And we'll be sending the both of them to the Baltimore Orioles, who could really use some bullpen help. They fall off pretty quickly after Felix Bautista, so adding a guy like Fauché could be a nice bridge to the lockdown closer in the 9th inning. In return, we'll be snagging a 30-year-old relief pitcher, Brian Baker. It's like a deal of 30-year-old relievers, I know, but hang on, there's more. The main guy I was really targeting in this deal was former Cardinals top prospect Dylan Carlson. He's a switch hitter who smacks lefties around quite a bit. He was also a staple of my Kansas City Royals rebuild a couple years ago. So not too disappointed to be adding him back onto one of my rebuild rosters. I really like his discipline and vision numbers, and I think there's some upside to work with here, especially since he's only 26 years old. I think he could be a good transitional player for us, which is an aspect that is really important early in a rebuild. The final deal we will be making is we'll be sending away Jesus Sanchez and Derek Hill. Now, we've already talked about Sanchez and some of the benefits he can bring different teams. Hill is a guy added in to just get this deal to go through, but he also brings some lefty smasher ability to the table with some solid defense. I know he's had his struggles this year, but he still has that upside that can be beneficial to teams looking for some more outfield depth. And we'll be sending this combo to the Kansas City Royals. Now, the Royals really need a strong hitting lefty in their lineup, so Sanchez can deliver there, especially since the Royals have a couple of guys who hit lefties really well in their outfield. It should fit nicely in a platoon role with him. And this deal is going to be a similar one to the same one we did with the Orioles. We're just trying to grab a couple of guys that can be transitional players for us. We'll start with Nelson Velasquez, the former Cubs top prospect. He had a huge year in 2023, but fell off quite a bit in 2024 and has spent much of this season in AAA. He's got some big-time pop in his bat, so we're hoping he can deliver on that in an everyday role in Miami. We'll also be adding in a 25-year-old relief pitcher, Steven Cruz. Dude throws straight gas at 98 miles per hour, so you know how I love that. He's had a strong season at AAA, so we're hopefully going to get the 6'7" righty into the majors at some point, so he can be a nice little bullpen piece for us over the next couple seasons. And that's all she wrote. Our first trade deadline wraps up with a total of 4 deals. 1 major one in the Alcantara deal and 3 more minor ones. Pretty excited about the return on the trade with the Rays. We really need to nail that deal if we want to get things trending in the right direction quickly. But before we get out of here, we still have one more order of business, and that is checking out our draft picks and seeing how we fared in this class. And bang! Bienvenido a Miami, Senor Enrique Lena, a generational prospect for our first ever pick of this series. Woohoo! Crazy work there. I am super excited about this kid. 78 overall to start in a clean 99 potential. An absolute stud and only 18 years old. Just wow, what an incredible pick and what a major break that he fell to us at our spot in the draft. Now, he'll only be about a mid to upper 60s once I finish my draft class editing, but nonetheless, what an amazing pull for our first draft class. I never expected him to be this freaking good, man. A true 5-tool player with insane potential. Things are immediately looking up in Miami, and the stock arrow just shot straight up and through the roof. Not to be overshadowed, Thomas Fagan also looks like an outstanding pick. This was an incredible find by our scouts as he was completely unranked, and he'll start out with a very nice overall and 89 potential. High-end back of the bullpen upside for the flamethrower out of Minnesota. Now, Doug Patton wasn't as good as I had hoped. I figured he'd be about an 80 potential with mid-60s starting overall, but didn't really end up being the case. Not a terrible player on paper, but maybe I would have been better off swinging for that high upside shortstop. Villafuerte has a solid starting overall, but is really limited on the potential front. Edgar Armas is advanced like we thought, but he's also limited in the potential department. He'll be starting at a 65 overall, so he'll get a 1 bump to his potential, so that's nice, but he'll need to be performing well in the minors if he wants to get some bigger bumps as he develops. And then down there at the back end, Bryce Sable and Adrian Medrano both have some pretty decent potentials, but just very far away from the majors as I had feared. Not terrible for late round blind shots, but you're always hoping for a little bit more. Regardless, I am over the moon excited about this class. Everyone else could have been a bust, and this still would have been a major success thanks to the generational talent in Enrique Reina. I have literal goosebumps, folks, and I hope you do too. Anyways, that's all I got for you in this one. We'll still be making our way quickly through these first couple of seasons, but we'll make a quick pit stop in the next episode for some gameplay I think y'all will enjoy. We've got a couple of youngins that want to introduce themselves, and another guy that makes his long-awaited return. But in the meantime, between time, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gone. Deuces.